We're surrounded by.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.
Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. I am your co-host, Corey Kennan, alongside Dalton Miller once again. Yesterday, we talked about the upperclassmen in this quarterback class, the lengthy list of upperclassmen, and we've got a pretty long list of underclassmen too. Again, underclassmen, we got to kind of take with a grain of salt. We're still going to talk about them, but got to take them with a grain of salt because of the NIL era. These guys are making $4 million a year to play at the college level. So, there's a good chance
one of them is at least.
Yeah. There's a good chance these guys will just go back to school because they're going to get pay raises every year they go back anyway as well. Like as the market increases, they'll renegotiate with their schools too. So this is what Dalton, you already spoke. So I'll just bring you in here as well. I think this is one of the best parts about the NIL era though, that we can talk about NIL is that like Mitch Trubisky, Anthony Richardson, some guys who were drafted very high after just like 12 games of starting experience because the money is life-changing. And again, if you're going to get drafted top 5, yeah, the money's going to be life-changing. But like, I don't think there's any reason for anymore for these quarterbacks to be in any rush to leave school to go to the NFL. And I think we're going to see, I'd be interested in a sample size 3, 4, 5 years from now about what the quality of quarterback play at the NFL level looks like, especially within those first 2 years of a player's career. I think we're going to see a drastic improvement at the NFL in terms of quarterback quality because these guys aren't going to be in a rush to head to the NFL anymore.
Yeah, I think that this is a twofold conversation because I do think that with NIL, it creates a very, very good environment for more long-term quarterback play at the college level, which is always going to be better. There's a reason why Bill Belichick wanted, 3-4 year starters and 30 plus starts and stuff like that. And there's reasons why, even if you do start a bunch of games, Peyton Manning started a ton of games in college and was terrible to start off because he went to a really, really bad situation at the NFL level. And I think if we are able to separate a situation at the NFL level and environment and inexperience from college quarterbacks, I think that that's something, if we can take those things independently, I think that absolutely you're going to see the more experienced you are as a college quarterback, the more snaps that you get, because it is an incredibly mental position, the most mental position of any professional sports position that there is. I think that these 13 game starters, 15, 16, I just don't think, unless you are going to be a top 5 pick and you're going to have, say $20 million guaranteed compared to another year of making 3 or 4 and potentially rupturing your Achilles, like maybe then, and we'll talk about that with a couple of different guys here. But I think your Arch Mannings, first of all, family is as financially secure as any football family in the entire world. So he doesn't need to go anywhere. And he most likely won't go anywhere. And that is probably the best decision for his NFL career.
Mm-hmm.
And
his NIL evaluation was $6 million last year as well.
And I think when you can sit down and think about this objectively, I think it's a really good idea. Now, let me get to the other side of this, where what will hurt quarterbacks going into the NFL level is the transfer portal, because you are consistently going into new environments and never really finding your footing wherever you are going. And so I think being a multiple year starter at a particular school is going to be very important. Now, I think the one really big example of this is Joe Burrow, because he went from Ohio State, LSU. He was talked about as a day 3 guy. The physical tools weren't fantastic. It was like, round 4 to round 7, and then he had 2019. And I think part of that is, going in, he sat for a long time behind Haskins, right? He sat behind
Haskins. It was JT Barrett.
It was
because he transferred because he lost the battle to Haskins because he was hurt in the spring.
Okay.
He didn't because he was hurt throughout.
Yeah. And so he sat for a while. and then he went to LSU, and then he was no longer a student, or no longer a student in the same way. He was a grad student. He was a professional quarterback at that point at the college level. And I think when you have these fifth year guys who are starting their third season and are really kind of focusing on that transition to the NFL and what they have to do, I think that it can be massive for them. So I do think it's twofold. I think NIL is great. I think the transfer portal hurts college quarterbacking and hurts NFL projection. And so I think it's an interesting dichotomy overall. And I think over the next couple of years to a decade plus is the size we're going to need. And it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Agreed. And that's just a conversation that's going to segue us into talking about these younger quarterbacks who could, but most likely are not coming out.
Do you just want to get Arch out of the way?
Let's talk about Arch. Yeah, let's just dive right in. Arch Manning started 2 games last year, got decent playing time in a third game, that UTSA game where Quinn Ewers initially got hurt. Played almost a perfect game in that UTSA game as well. But one thing that I did notice is that the playbook wasn't necessarily 100% open in all of the Arch games because, one, they played UTSA, ULM, and Mississippi State, who lost to Toledo. So, like, a lot of post overs, a lot of 2-man play action concepts, a lot of read option, like not a ton of like high commanding quarterbacking needing to be done in those games. But what we can say is we can make a judgment about how he played in those games as well. And the Mississippi State game is as gorgeous as it gets, I think, for how thin or what he was asked to do. The ULM game, you could tell he's kind of pressing. This is his first career start kind of thing. But that Mississippi State game, man, is truly something. And if that's the Arch we get this year, then maybe we're having a different conversation by January.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
I think it would take. I think it would take like a 2019 Burrow type of year for him to actually end up declaring. I watched Mississippi State, and after the first, I think, 6 dropbacks, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Some guys, they just have it. And he has it, man. He's got it. And it's so funny because in those 6 dropbacks, he showed a little bit of everything. He showed the athleticism that he has. He showed the multiple different arm angles that he's able to use. He showed the arm talent, which I think is not elite, but it's plus
A-. Yeah.
I think it's bordering on plus. Like for me, it's like you have the requisite level, you have a plus arm, you have a plus arm, and then it's like, oh, Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. The Josh Allen's Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. And he's not there, but he's at that tier below that. And with the arm flexibility on top of that, like I don't love his delivery. I would say like it's not the most aesthetic delivery for me personally, but it's not slow. It's quick. It's whippy, and he generates incredible velocity. You know, whether he's able to use his entire midsection or not to really torque through. So I think he's definitely got all the tools in the tool shed to be a number 1 pick. And I think that when you look at the offense, and this is what I'm most excited for, is that arm, that athleticism, that ability in a Sark offense is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
Because it really makes me wonder how much more of the playbook Sark has had that he hasn't used because of who he's had at quarterback.
So I mentioned this with Nate as well when I was with Nate Tice on the podcast. I said, like, it makes me kind of want to go back and watch 2020 Alabama and see what Mac Jones was asked to do. Because Mac Jones had that offense mastered, like front to back, played about almost, I mean, if Joe Burrow didn't have the season he did in 2019, we're talking about maybe one of the best college quarterbacking seasons of all time for Mac Jones in 2020, because he had that offense like mastered.
I mean, it was different because it was just efficient. It was just a mastery of efficiency.
I mean, he started
and
Jalen Waddle and Devontae
was,
Smith, and
and there were so many answers that were given to him. And it's the same thing with Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers just wasn't able to answer those questions the way that Mac
it's gonna be the
Jones
same thing with
was.
Arch, though. He's gonna have all the talent in the world too.
He's going to have all the talent in the world. He has all the talent in the world. He's going to have the answers right in front of him. He has the arm angles to deliver with those answers, you know, for passes behind the line of scrimmage and right around the line of scrimmage that are kind of schemed up for him. And then on top of that, he has the ability to roll out right and throw opposite hash digs. Like the dude's got it. And we're just going to have to wait until 2027, most likely, to watch him declare. But, you know,
those booster politics must have been pretty crazy at Texas and Austin. Those booster politics to keep Quinn on the field must have been something else.
I really
something else, man.
I really do wonder what it was. But anyways, you want to move on from him and move on.
Yeah, let's go on to
the
1A in this class for most people, or the 1B. 2 minimum, probably. Lenore Sellers, South Carolina. I'm just going to stop beating around it. We need to have a pretty important conversation about Lenore Sellers, because the conception of Lenore Sellers, or the what people think the concept of Lenore Sellers is, oh, he's just another great athlete who can't throw the football, and it's a dog shit perception.
Or
just like,
is it that he can't throw the football, or is it more like the Anthony Richardson narrative? Is it more Milrow, or is it more Richardson? Because honestly, like, once the draft season is over, and even during draft season a lot, I don't consume a lot of draft narrative outside of the couple of voices that I converse with and that I trust. So, like,
I know it's that he's a very raw thrower, and he's just a runner right now.
Well, that's just right. It's just it's flat out. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It's just racism.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because when you watch Lenore Sellers, or stereotyping, I mean, that's all it is.
There are 3 things that I want to talk about, and I've written up his accuracy profile already. There are 3 things that like, I think, and we talked off air about the anticipation throws aren't really there. The big time throws aren't really there yet. I think the pocket work is twofold. I do think that you are seeing him fight. Like, I want to play in structure. I want to stay in the pocket. I don't want to be this guy who's just gonna, like, oh, it's time to go, gotta go. I see him working his eyes. You can see him the feet align with the eyes, the hips and the feet align with the eyes. You can see him working from 1, 2, 3. But, like, when he drops, it hits that 5-step drop, hits that 7-foot drop, he kind of sits at depth. He gives up really bad angles for pass rushers on his offensive tackles. He doesn't really step back into pockets, which is something I want to see him improve. And his time to throw and pressure to sack is really high. Which time to throw is always really elevated for quarterbacks who can run and can extend plays. Like, it's always going to be elevated for those guys. But he does kind of. And we talked off air. And I do think it truly stems from becoming an anticipatory thrower, because he's very much a quarterback, in my opinion, who wants to see windows open before he's throwing the football. And he doesn't necessarily trust the throws that he sees until he sees it. Mm-hmm. Instead of throwing guys open or throwing into windows that there's no receiver in yet. And so when you speed those throws up and you get the ball out of quicker, and you're not waiting for those windows to open up, I mean, that's a half second. That's a quarter of a second. And if you do that consistently, that time to throw is going to go down.
Yeah, and I want to interject on time to throw real quick, and then let you get back to him. I think we should change the way that we look at things from average time to throw to median time to throw. And I think that that's something that needs to be parsed through with the data that is collected for quarterbacks when it comes to that. Because when you have a mobile quarterback like that, you're going to have a 5, 6, 7, 8 second dropbacks that are skewing the average time to throw very, very north of where they actually are from a median perspective. And so I think if we can get PFF, if we can get these high level, CIS and things like that, to parse through the data and look through what the median time to throw is for these guys, I think that would give us a much better picture of who these guys are. Because there's Justin Fields, who was like legitimately 4 seconds.
Yeah.
A lot because he could. And then there are, your Lenore Sellers, who the offensive line isn't as good, or like even like a Fernando Mendoza, who like the offensive line is bad and he's kind of just like is scrambling around away from free rushers. And that's why it's 3.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. So I think that there's so much context when it comes to average time to throw that we just miss out on the entire picture or the full picture. But did you have anything that you wanted to add to that when it comes to, because I think the anticipatory thing is something that can come with time. But like I think it took Dak Prescott 4 or 5 years at the NFL level to really kind of get there. And even still, when it comes to like stopping routes, like that's where he really, really thrives when it comes to anticipatory throws. But like some guys like horizontally or some guys on stopping routes, depending on the picture, really struggle with that. And there are times where you see Lenoris throw with good anticipation when it comes to the stopping routes already. He shows that, but it's only when he has a pretty clean pre-snap look. When things rotate post-snap, or even when it's like an easy slant flat read or curl flat read and the apex guy bails out wide, like that's an easy read, and he's even slow on allowing that window to open. And so there are like quick things that he really does need to fix.
Yeah, for me, it's more like on the more explosive kind of throws, because there aren't a lot of explosive throws on his tape. It's for me, it's
or
like,
in that offense,
dude, just throw the dig into green grass where you know the guy's going to run.
Yes.
Just throw the post into green grass where you know he wants to see that the guy is almost settled into zone coverage, settled into green grass before he's throwing the football. And to me, it's just like, dude, you got to trust it a little bit. You got to trust it a little bit.
And part of that could also be coached, like, hey, like avoid the turnover, because that's for, again, I'm going to bring Dak Prescott back into this. That limited his ceiling for quite a long time. And then he got with John Kitna, and John Kitna said, heavy socks, you're going to chuck it. Like you're going to, and that's when we saw Dak really become an assassin over the middle of the field and pushing the ball downfield on seam throws and throwing more hospital balls and really attacking windows. And so I do think that it could also be a coaching thing. It could also be an athleticism thing, because in the back of his mind, subconsciously, he could be thinking, I could take off, make 4 people miss, and go 75 yards on my feet too. And that's what we can talk about with Sellers. And that's the real upside when it comes to him, is that you have somebody who wants to play from within the pocket, but can also, and is also, probably the most dangerous rushing quarterback in college football as well.
Yeah. Straight up at 6'3", 247.
And there we go. And you know what?
6'3",
I just got earlier the Patreon email from JT about the game tape analysis against Texas A&M, and I haven't watched JT's video yet, but the caption for it was just, might be the strongest quarterback I've ever watched.
I have the best sack avoidance I've ever seen in my life. I posted on Twitter, on X. I can go find it and retweet it tomorrow when this episode's released, but it's like a 3-minute highlight reel of him just breaking sacks. And there's one rep against, like, there's 2 reps that really stand out in the top of my head right now. There's one rep against Ole Miss where Princely Umanmielen literally hits him in the chest, and he's extended his elbow over top of Princely's, like over his shoulder, where he's like in the throwing motion,
and he pulls it back and rolls right
back over top of Princely and rolls out and scrambles. The Clemson game, Peter Woods is unblocked.
That's 10.5-inch hands too. It's got to be.
The Clemson game, Peter Woods unblock straight up the A gap, bear hugs him, He gets out. Potentially the best player in college football, Peter Woods, bear hugs him, and he finds a way out of it and picks up 20 yards. It's that ability. Nate put it in the best way that I can think to put it. He turns sacks into explosives. Like that's the only way to talk about it. He turns sacks into explosives, and that's a game-changing thing to be able to do. The best sack avoidance I've ever seen in my life.
And you know what's unbelievable? We've spent 10 minutes on him almost.
We can keep going.
And we haven't even brought up his arm.
Nope.
Which is what?
Stellar.
Second best in the class?
Dollar Tree Anthony Richardson-ish. Like 96% if it were a test. Like Anthony Richardson, we'd say is what, 99%? If we were grading it. 96%, 95%.
Yeah, from just the arm. But here's the thing. When you put the arm together with the lower body mechanics, there is so much to like with him, man. The synchronicity that he has with his throwing motion, he's pretty clean overall. He's pretty clean, especially when he has his base underneath of him. When he's just as a natural thrower, he's got it. He's got it, dude. He's the real deal, man. If he can continue to make strides cognitively and get a little bit quicker, I mean, we're talking about somebody with an incredibly high ceiling at the NFL level, with an incredibly high floor because of his rushing ability. I mean, this is number one pick-esque stuff easily.
I'm gonna say as long as I can see him throw some explosives with anticipation, that's all I need to see. Like from last year's tape to this year's tape, if I can just start seeing him trusting his arm a little bit more, because it's there, the upper body mechanics are pretty clean. Like his arm moves fast. He coils through his hips and his shoulder fast. So the upper body mechanics are clean. Just put some more big throws on tape and do it where you can show that you're not just throwing like to wide.
Going to the gym can be discouraging, especially if you're putting in the work but barely seeing changes. But with Tonal, you can actually see your progress with every workout. Tonal provides the convenience of a full gym and the expertise of a personal trainer anytime at home with one sleek system. Designed to reduce your mental load, Tonal is the ultimate strength training system, helping you focus less on workout planning and more on getting results. No more second-guessing your technique. Tonal gives you real-time coaching cues to dial in your form and help you lift safely and effectively. After a quick assessment, Tonal sets the optimal weight for every move and adjusts in 1 pound increments as you get stronger, so you're always challenged. Tonal lets you choose from a variety of expert-led workouts, from strength to arrow hit to yoga and mobility, to keep you coming back for more. For a limited time, go to Tonal.com to get $500 off your Tonal purchase, plus a free 4-year warranty. That's Tonal.com for $500 off plus a free 4-year warranty. Tonal.com.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Open guys, but you are throwing guys open. You do that consistently, it's a lock. It's a lock for me. Like that, I'm cool with it. Cool.
I agree. Let's get to somebody else who I think has the tools to be a really dangerous NFL player. But is just nowhere close right now, and that's Arizona State's Sam Leavitt. I don't care if you don't see it. I'm absolutely in love with him.
Okay.
The physical tools are outrageous. In my opinion, he is so twitched up as an athlete. He is so twitched up. His arm is so effortless, and he is able to throw from so many, like, truly horrific spots. And the flip side of that is that he puts himself in these horrific spots because he is playing quarterback on meth.
Yeah,
and that's all there is to it. Like, he is not a good quarterback right now.
He
The
is not.
arm talent is, I think it's really good, and you
It is
see
really
the big time throws with him as well.
Mhm.
The downfield throws, the intermediate whips, but he's a psychopath, and he puts himself in horrific situations needlessly way too often. He plays the quarterback position still like he is a 5-star playing at a 1A school in Wyoming. And he's just that much better than everybody else that he doesn't have to actually be good at the position. That's how he plays. He is a heart attack in the pocket that immediately leaves the pocket like a grenade.
Mhm.
If he can calm down and actually play the quarterback position, we have something.
For sure.
But I think it's going to take a lot of sedatives to do that.
He's with the right coach, in my opinion, with Dillingham.
Yes.
But him and John Mateer are both cut from the same cloth, where they have these wildly electric arms and these wildly electric minds, like that are constantly working at 100% all the time.
Mm-hmm. They're both cracked out.
They are. They're both cracked out of their minds. With Levitt, I just see so much like it's not as bad as Malik Willis, but like kind of the same tendencies of Malik Willis, where it's like Malik Willis never saw.
I think it's worse.
You think it's worse than Malik Willis? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's worse. I think it's
that
worse
says a lot
than
because
Willis.
Malik Willis was really bad about it too.
Mhm.
Where Malik was like, time to go, and as soon as he snapped the ball, I see a lot of it with Levitt, where it's like he knows where he wants to go pre-snap, but if he doesn't have his pre-snap, he's out.
Yes.
That's it. He's not trying to work his eyes. Or he's whipping a check down at like 90 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those two options. It's either like if what he's seeing pre-snap isn't what he gets post-snap, he's either immediately getting to his check down and not throwing with any touch at all and throwing a four-seamer, or he's dipping. Like those are pretty much the two options. But so that's another. He's also 20. So Levitt's one of those guys that's like, he's got no reason to go anywhere.
No.
Again, I do trust Kenny Dillingham, who has worked with Bo Nix and while the offensive coordinator at Oregon, and is building something special at Arizona State. I think his alma mater, his hometown school. I think that's a great situation for Levitt to stay in. And again, 1 year starting experience. This is year 2, 20 years old. I think there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like,
really
but there's so much that's like, dude. Right now, you're an idea. Like, you are an idea.
Yes, he is. He is 100% an idea. That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it.
Yeah.
Can
I go to a quarterback who people would also put this like, oh, he's just an idea category, but I actually think that he has a lot of really good foundational stuff.
No, because I'm going to bring him up before you can.
You're going to do
Aiden Childs?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love Aiden Childs. You can look at his box score.
You know why you love Aiden Childs?
Why?
Because Michigan State actually runs under center play action.
Offense. Yeah. Listen, I get the Bozo gene is there. He made a lot of really stupid decisions. He had 11 interceptions last year.
And some of them are awful.
Some of them are awful. Dude, he's running high lows at a really high level, throwing the ball with anticipation. His boundary throws are probably some of the best in the class.
I sent a
anticipatory boundary throws.
I sent a video in my Discord. You'll have to go check out in the draft channel of him play action R hash deep out with anticipation.
Iowa game
and right on. No, not the Iowa game.
No?
It was what game was it? It was talk for a little bit and I'll find it.
Okay. But yeah, Aiden Childs, I get it. I get why people are hesitant and why people say, well, he's just a runner as well. Also, no, he's not. He has more pocket foundations than some of these other quarterbacks that we're talking. Like,
it was Ohio State.
Ohio State. Okay. He's got as good of a pocket foundation as Lenore Sellers, maybe even better foundation from the pocket than Lenore Sellers. Like, these are guys who, yes, they have tools, but they want to play quarterback the right way. They want to be guys who stand in structure, because at the end of the day, like if you can't stand in structure, you're not going to play quarterback at the NFL level. Like it's just not going to happen. And they're doing it. And now this is his third year with Jonathan Smith, because Jonathan Smith and him were together at Oregon State as well. So like this is different from a portal situation. We're talking about third year of continuity with the same playbook, the same coach, same structure. Again, the talent around him last year was not very good either. That offensive line was awful. Nick Marsh is really good. His one receiver, Nick Marsh, is really good. And they kept him out of the portal, so he's back too, and that's huge. But we can't not talk about the rubble that Mel Tucker left that program in, that they were literally in year one of last year, trying to come out of it as well. Like, Michigan State was not in a good place last year, as Jonathan Smith, who is by the way, a head coach that I trust to the core. I think he's an excellent head coach. He made DJ Uiagalelei look manageable. His 1 year at State made him look manageable.
What a freezing cold take that was from me last year.
Yeah, happens to the best of us. I say Emory Jones, offensive tackle 1, is out there too. So but Childs, I think the foundational skill set is already there. And I think we're going into a year 2 where like Jonathan Smith can go to him and say like, hey man, we don't need as much hero ball. We understand where the program was a year ago and what you might have thought it was on your shoulders, trying to be the guy. Like, I think that's part of it. And now we're entering year 3 of a pro-ready offense, a pro-style offense. This is my pick. If I'm picking one young quarterback to take a massive rise this year, it's Aiden Childs. And I don't think it's particularly close.
I don't think that's a bad call. I really like what you said about like the pocket navigation and things like that. He's definitely very, very heady in that respect. Mm-hmm. It might just be like the Big Ten aesthetic overall, but I was kind of surprised seeing his measurables and him only being like 6'3", 215, 220, because he looks bigger. And
his lower half is really thin.
And I think he plays bigger.
He does.
And he's a good athlete too. So like it's not just like they get him out a lot on those kind of naked boots and get him moving. Behind that offensive line, it was kind of necessary as well. But I think what I see from him is that true, like the evolution of what a pocket passer has become, to where like you have to be able to pick up yards with your legs. And I think he is kind of in that CJ Stroud mold where I think he could do a little bit more than he even does at the college level as a runner if he has to. And I think that from a tools perspective, the arm is freaking there. The arm is good. I think we're looking at the third. I mean, here's the thing. Unlike last year's class, the Sellers, Leavitt, Manning, Childs all have really good arms.
You could throw Dante Moore in that conversation too.
Moore and Nico, who we're going to talk quickly about both of those guys coming up. They both have really good arms. But I'm very excited about what we see from Childs and the Michigan State organization moving forward. And maybe we even get another year of him as well, because he is still pretty young.
He's only
second
19,
year as a starter this year. So let's move on. And let's move on to Nico first, and then finish off with Dante, because we didn't see much of Dante last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nico, I've already kind of penned him as a 2027 kid. Like, there's nothing on that Tennessee tape that makes me think that this kid's going to come out this year or is worthy of a first round pick at this point.
Did you go through and chart him, or did you do 3 games and bounce?
I did the whole thing.
And he wasn't your most inaccurate quarterback. I'm kind of surprised by that.
He is not. He's down there.
What about deep ball specifically?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Because his arm is outrageous.
It's outrageous.
But he has no clue where it's going.
And no sense of pressure. No sense of how to handle pressure at all. Deep ball, 45%. Deep ball is at the bottom, tied with Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier.
Makes sense because it was legitimately when I was watching him, it was terrible.
Aller and Nussmeier are the only two with accuracy scores.
And we're talking about with clean pockets. And a lot of wide open guys that he is just flat out missing.
Mm-hmm.
He's I don't think Tennessee is too upset.
No.
I think there's a reason they didn't pay him what he wanted.
Right.
And I don't. He's got a long way. He's got a long way to go. That's all we'll say.
Yeah.
Tito
Sunseri, offensive coordinator at UCLA, has a track record of developing quarterbacks as well. So like this could work, but the UCLA program's in a pretty bad spot too.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll see. But again, I've got him penned as a 2027 kid. Just like
speaking of UCLA, Dante Moore, who flashed some really fun stuff at UCLA in a bad program. And so just really excited to see what he is able to do at Oregon, is sitting behind a really, really experienced quarterback. And we'll see more of Dante. Like you said with Nico, and like we've said with Arch,
we'll see more of
probably
Dante.
A 2027 guy.
You said you'll see more of Dante.
But I think this is going to be a really good, out of all the collegiate situations, is there a better situation than Oregon from a college quarterback perspective?
No. Texas.
Just like in general, like maybe Sark. Texas. I don't think Georgia.
Ohio State, maybe.
Ohio State is always one. But those are like the big three for me, is Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon for quarterbacks, where it's just you're in LSU. I will add LSU from purely from a quarterback perspective.
Yeah. I feel better about if Denbrock was still there. He's at Notre Dame now.
Yeah, that is true.
Ohio State, Texas, I would say would be the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dante Moore starting at Oregon now. They've just produced back-to-back draftable quarterbacks, back-to-back top 100 quarterbacks, including a first-round pick who went on to have a really successful rookie season. So he's in the right spot. He's surrounded by talent. I'm excited. Him and Childs, because Moore's an interesting situation where we're talking about like kids who could stay because of NIL money, and like guys, they don't need to leave after 12 games anymore. Well, this guy did start a full season and is actually in his second season at a new program, but is only a second-year starter and didn't start the first. So his is a very like.
And they have
anomalic. Is that a word? Anomalic. Is that a word? Anomaly. Anomalic situation.
I don't think it is, but we'll use it.
It sounds good. He's kind of an anomaly to development, like to what quarterback development can look like. Because I can't think off the top of my head of a quarterback ever. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but not off the top of my head where a guy's like came out, started as a true freshman, and was like, hold on now, I need to take a beat. Took a year as a backup, then came back and started again.
And question on this: Do you think that that could be a sign of like unbelievably elevated maturity to be like, I need to get out of UCLA. I don't care if I'm playing or not. Like, I need to put myself in a better situation.
I think so. Like, does Jalen Hurts qualify for that situation of a quarterback? He got benched. I don't know if that's necessarily the same.
He got benched. It was a little bit different.
Yeah. But kind of like Jalen Hurts-ish, I guess, the trajectory. But except he's only a true junior. Yeah,
and I mean, talk about Jalen Hurts. That's a good head on a set of shoulders.
Yeah. It takes mental fortitude. Yeah, in terms of mental fortitude, we're talking about one of the tougher ones.
Getting benched
and Hurts
from being a national champion to getting benched to being a second round pick to winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's it. We've been here for 37 minutes, and I got to eat.
I throw out one more name that we didn't talk about pre-show.
Sure.
Darian Mensah from Duke. Did you watch him? Tulane
kid
for Duke. Okay.
I didn't get to him.
Then I'll just be brief. He's, to me, is the girl drinking White Claw for the first time gif. You know the
Oh,
meme I'm
yeah.
talking about, where she sips it, she's like, and
Mhm.
like that to me, that's Darian Mensah. You'll watch it. We'll talk about him later, but not a very big arm, pretty accurate, kind of sporadic in the pocket, where like he's fighting a demon. Sometimes he
Mhm.
wants to, sometimes he doesn't. Kind of that kind of quarterback to me, but
Love
got
it.
paid $4 million to go to Duke. So, but that's it for the young guys. Yeah. Again, we're getting back into some tape time.
Yeah, we are.
Now, so I'm excited. Quarterback rankings are probably not to be too far behind here. Yeah, so we've got some stuff cooking. Again, on my Substack, I'm dropping my second Inside the Film Room video content of the week, where I'm literally starting the film room with a blank notebook that I hold up to the camera and show, like, I'm live scouting. Like, you're getting all of my first impression of this player as well. And I'm literally trying to be as transparent as possible, breaking down. You'll hear me like talk through my own opinions and talk through my own conflicts. Like today I was doing Caleb Banks, that's going to publish the same day as this episode, Florida defensive tackle, where I'm like, it's 3rd and long and the guy's not on the field. I was like, then why the heck is this guy like considered a top pass rusher from the interior if he's not even on the field in these 3rd and longs? And then I had to like pause it. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's 4 defensive ends on the field. This is a NASCAR package. It's like those things are live thoughts that I get to process on these live film rooms as well. So it's pretty organic. It's pretty raw. It's pretty transparent, which is the goal of these things. But that's going up tomorrow. Dalton's got cool stuff going on the Patreon, cut ups galore. So anything else you want to add, Dalton?
As always, guys, I love you, and it is leg day. So let's get after it.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Until next time, this has been the Daft on Draft Podcast.